Hey everyone, I'm Caryn Solomon, and welcome to What's IGN Crushing On, IGN Africa's official entertainment podcast. I'm your host, and I'm joined as always by my producer and editor Rebecca Barches. So this is a show where we discuss all things entertainment and pop culture with a new guest every week. We bring recommendations, news, and fun facts, sometimes touching on the more serious issues surrounding these topics. This week on the show, we are joined by Mulesa Lumina. Mulesa is a social media manager, a jewelry designer, a human rights lawyer, a blogger, a podcaster, and much more. But famously, she's known for being a contestant on the Bachelor South Africa Season 2. During the conversation, she spoke about what the experience was like for her. She spoke about feminism, Breaking Bad, so many different topics.
And what she said about feminism was, or what you spoke about feminism was quite cool, especially the part about the dissonance between our conservative sort of society versus the liberal constitution that we have in South Africa.
I think that's where her law degree kind of came in, because she knows so much about feminism, intersectionality, all sort of social justice causes, and it was so interesting and so fruitful for us to have her here, because I feel like I learned a lot after the end of the episode, and it was such a plus. So I mean, that's why I think that these kind of conversations are so important. But before we also go into it, we do have some trigger warnings for trauma, toxic masculinity, sexual assault. We speak a lot about these kind of issues. So if these are things that, are triggers for you, then please, don't listen. Or listen cautiously, because these are the type of things that we do discuss. And on that note, October is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So Rebecca and I just wanted to give you some recommendations of something you can watch, or stuff that we think is accurate or is a good depiction of mental health. So for me, my recommendation would be This Is Us, which is quite a popular family drama series. I'm sure many people watch it. It's a tearjerker. It's famous for making people cry, but one of the things I really do enjoy about it is the way they depict anxiety, especially in the character of Randall, and his panic attacks, how it goes and it comes back, in the moments when he can't deal. There's especially a poignant scene in season 4 where he keeps having these night terrors, and he's trying to scream and he can't, and it's just done so delicately but so excellently that I would really, really recommend it. And you, Rebecca, what would be yours?
Yeah, for me, I was actually thinking about the movie Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So the movie was about a guy wanting to forget that he had this bad relationship with Kate Winslet. But I think it dealt well with memory and how you kind of need to, in order to heal from trauma, you can't forget about it. You kind of have to, you have to deal with it. And that was sort of a positive thing that I took from that movie.
So if you have any suggestions, let us know what your favorite film or movie or whatever series that deals with mental health is. You can let us know on our socials, or via email, or voice note, whatever. Just tell us, and we can recommend it to everybody else. So here's our interview with Mulesa. Hi Mulesa, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So how have you been? How have you been keeping busy during quarantine or lockdown or whatever, Corona times?
I've been fine. Just end of last month, made the move to Cape Town finally. So that's been taking up most of my time, just getting settled, and just work has just been really, really crazy lately. And we started going back to the office a few days a week. So that's what's been keeping me busy. Yep.
So what made you decide to go into law?
Well, funnily enough, I'm not even really doing law stuff right now. I'm not even practicing, not really doing research. But I think one of the main things that made me decide to get into law was because I was always very interested in using the law as a vehicle for change in society. I was always very interested in kind of human rights, environmental law, like social justice was my main motivator for getting into law in the first place.
So, like, if I ask you, what are you passionate about? What would you say?
I would say I'm passionate about things like women's rights, social justice. I would definitely like to, ensure that whatever, career path that I'm on right now is geared towards those end goals and those passions. And I'm really, really very much about racial justice, social justice in general, and women's rights in particular.
Between like being a jewelry designer and a blogger and a social media manager, like how do you find the time?
It's just been so difficult, especially like with the move and everything else. I haven't had time to do anything. I just want to get my life back on track. I want to start blogging again. I want to just get back to my hobbies. I want to get back to jewelry designing again. It's just been really crazy, but I just generally try and like balance everything as much as I possibly can. I keep a diary. That's been so helpful. So useful to help me just like keep up with everything and note everything. And yeah, it's good for multitasking for sure.
Yeah, because gosh, whenever I see you like post something on Instagram, I'm like, this girl is doing so much. I've had my third nap for the day, and you're just like living.
Trying to live life.
So what made you decide to enter The Bachelor? I feel like that's like the biggest decision that anyone can make in their life. Like, why did you decide
to go on a
it?
reality TV show for love?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know how to answer this question when people ask me, funnily enough, but I'll give it a try. So one of the motivating factors, I guess, was just that, okay, well, I got out of a pretty bad relationship about, I think it was two, going on to 3 years ago. And it kind of really changed me in many ways. It taught me a lot about myself. It wasn't the healthiest of relationships. And I've just taken a break from dating for the longest time. Well, I dabbled here and there, but then really wasn't meeting anybody. Nothing was coming of the dates that I went on. I wasn't really feeling a spark with anybody. And then The Bachelor came up. And then my brother, funnily enough, was like, you should think about entering that. And then I was like, well, I mean, I guess. I suppose, I don't know what else am I doing with my life right now. So I figured, let me just give it a try, see what happens. Or what was the worst that could happen was just being rejected, right? So I just went into it just with an open mind, just like looking forward to just meeting some really cool people and also just meeting a really, really cool guy and hoping that things would work out and I find a partner. It didn't work out that way, but still happy that I did it.
Do you think that things might have worked out? Like if it had gone to the end and Mark had chosen you, do you think that long term it would have worked out?
I have my doubts about it working long term. I think after watching everything back, I just kind of got the sense that we're very, very different people from different walks of life. And sometimes that works. And, sometimes it works out for those people that are very, very different and like pretty much polar opposites. But I think in our case, it probably wouldn't have. I think we're just in two different planes altogether.
I kind of understand that. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the dialogue that has happened since The Bachelor, but there's a lot of women of color was saying that the experience was kind of triggering because of how you guys were treated in the house. So I don't know, maybe could you talk to what it was actually like? Because I feel like a lot of people can surmise as to what they thought you were experiencing, but what was it actually like to be in that space?
Well, I can definitely understand where people are coming from, when they do, say that it probably was the triggering experience for them to, to see, especially with a minority, a women of color in that kind of environment. And, a show like The Bachelor generally, I would say, I don't really want to say it isn't like a show that many people of color would maybe tune into, but I don't think it's always really seen as a type of show that people of color would be interested in or people would enter. I'm sure you've seen with the US Bachelor as well, just franchise-wide as well. You've seen like this underrepresentation of people of color in the show in general. But I think being in the house it's quite a stressful environment, very emotionally stressful. And tensions run high. There's plenty of drama all the time. Everyone's at each other's throats because we're technically there pitted against each other, in many ways. And you're essentially supposed to be competing with a man, quote unquote, if you want to put it that way. So I think it does tend to bring out people's ugly sides quite a lot. I think for me, I was lucky that I managed to find women in the house who, I really connected with and who were, so kind and so supportive and, all about just, sisterhood and solidarity and just, building each other up as women. So for me, it was, in spite of how difficult it was and in spite of, how emotionally draining and exhausting it was, I feel like I at least connected with the right people in the house that helped me kind of get through the journey as best as I could.
Like, I've been seeing you guys on Instagram, like, you guys like made a solid group of friends. Like,
yeah, right? so strange.
It's so weird that all these girls were competing for this one guy, and now he's like a non-factor in the equation. And you guys are like,
it's like, was it even a bachelor?
It was like a show to meet, and I think it is such a positive way of looking at it. Like, it's like it was an experience where you met amazing women, and
exactly.
I mean, I've watched a few of the international ones, and that's like what happens all the time, is that women make like solid friendships. That happens more likely than a couple staying together. But
yeah.
Is there anything you regret of the experience?
I mean, like you say, it's an experience, and I just take it as that. I don't have any regrets about doing it. I don't have any regrets about how I conducted myself in the house. I feel like I was 100% myself throughout the entire process, and I don't feel like I could have done anything differently apart from just be myself. Is what I did. And as again, like you pointed out, it's an experience, and for me, in many ways, it was a very, very positive one. Like you said, I made incredible friendships with these women who were practically strangers to me like a year ago, and now we've just become the best of friends. I don't know if it's because of that traumatic experience, quote unquote, bringing us together, but we also just bonded in a way that I just did not expect at all. But I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so happy that I have them in my life right now. I can't imagine life without them at this point. So strange, but so wonderful.
So I feel like I asked you this the last time I interviewed you, but I think I think we need to get it out again. But if you had any advice for women wanting to enter The Bachelor in the future, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, well, I think it's such a great question, though, and such an important one, especially people that would want to enter again after us. I would say that it's important to do your research, and what I mean by that is just just study the franchise, literally study it. Just just literally watch the episodes back. Just try and understand as much as possible that it's going to be a very, very stressful situation. People don't really understand just the extent to which it just messes with your mind in so many ways. And you have to be mentally strong if you want to take on a process like this. You're going to be, faced with not only other people's kind of emotional issues, but also your own as well. Past relationship experiences, both good and bad, are going to come up. You're always going to be thinking about that. It's always going to be on your mind, and you'll be literally in this love bubble, just thinking about love, relationships, even friendships, and that can also conjure up quite a few bad memories for a lot of people as well. A lot of bad experiences, past traumas. So it's important to do your research, make sure that you are mentally prepared and mentally strong enough to do it, and also do it for I hate this phrase, the right reasons. I just had to say it like that, but make sure you are doing it for the right reasons, for you personally, and make sure that you enter into it with an open mind and just embrace it for all that it can be for you.
So what have you been up to since, for the listeners who haven't been like following you on Instagram like I have? So
I appreciate it. What have I been up to? Just living life, just working, trying not to get too freaked out by all the COVID stuff that's going on. Also just trying to live my life as normally as I possibly be. I'm so disappointed about that, but I'll get back on track. I just need to take it a day at a time, and then hopefully when everything stabilizes, I can get back to doing that. But I've just been gaming as usual. Started a podcast with my brother as well. Ventilation stations. That's been lots of fun. Yeah, and then also just trying to get business back on track with all this COVID stuff. It has been quite difficult, so I'm just trying to do an overhaul of my jewelry website, and wanting to do a collection sometime soon, a new collection, like a limited collection. So we'll see how that goes. But that's pretty much what's been occupying my time.
You mentioned that you're a gamer. So what do you enjoy playing?
Okay, please don't judge me. But
Please, I
I
can't
have
judge
been.
you. I can't judge.
Well, I have been a big Grand Theft Auto fan for a while. For
Okay.
as long as I can remember. I always really enjoyed that game in particular. It's just such great stress relief. I really
Mm.
enjoy it. I won't go into details. From everybody else out there, I don't want anyone to judge me, but yeah, it's my personal stress relief, each to one's own. I love that game. I'm sorry, but yeah. And I really loved one of the most recent games that I played was Resident Evil. Really enjoyed that one, Resident Evil
Mm.
2. The game that I'm playing right now is Far Cry 5. So it's a role-playing game. And I mean, it's so far, but I just enjoy playing like a variety of different games. Like for most of my life, I've always played different games on PlayStation in particular, but I also have
Okay.
Nintendo 64, and I do dabble in a few like retro games every now and then, and some mobile gaming.
Oh, wow. So yeah, so maybe tell us more about ventilation station that you do with your brother.
Yeah, so Ventilation Station is a project that my brother had been working on for quite some time. And he kind of figured that, with lockdown and everything else, that now would be the best time to get it started. So essentially, it's a platform for us to just talk about issues that are kind of like maybe bothering us, but also just things that we've just thought about in passing, maybe we've had conversations about, just him and I. So we cover like a range of different topics. And the take home point is always just to come to some sort of resolution to try and like learn something either about ourselves or about the world that we live in. So we covered different topics like Black Lives Matter,
Mm.
a lot more unserious topics on the other end of the spectrum, like just like bitching about like bad neighbors and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just been just like fun stuff. Anything that we can think of, really, anything that we've had conversations about and just chatted about as siblings, we decided to just talk about, and we get to also just really to spend some time together, just bond over that. So it's been really fun. It's great stress relief.
I think starting a podcast during lockdown is like it should be a drinking game by now, because
Right?
the amount of us that have done it is madness. I saw you send me a list of what you've been watching, so maybe and reading
Mm.
and that stuff. So maybe tell us more about that.
Okay, cool, sure. So one of the things that I'm watching at the moment is actually Breaking Bad. I know that I am very, very behind in that, but that's how I am with series sometimes. I'm not very good at keeping up with series when they first come out, and I kind of like to watch from start to finish.
Oh,
So
I'm the
I'm really
same.
like enjoying. Yeah,
Oh, I haven't watched
so
it
you get
yet.
it.
I haven't watched it yet, but I also like watching things like once it's done. So it's like I can watch it all at once. I don't have to wait for another season.
Yes.
And I get
Yeah,
you.
because the waiting game. Because I'm also watching. Was watching Vikings as well, and just like waiting for it to conclude has just been
Mm.
driving me absolutely mad. I knew I should have waited with that one, but it is what it is. So yeah, I started watching Breaking Bad, and yeah, I get why it lives up to the hype. I'm on
Mm.
season 3 right now, just making my way through it very, very slowly, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I like Bryan Cranston. I loved him in
Mm.
Malcolm in the Middle,
Oh,
so it's great to
yes.
see him. Right?
Yeah.
So great, such a great show. Absolutely loved it. So it's great to see him, playing such a contrasting character to
Mm.
Hal and Malcolm in the Middle. Like it's so interesting to see him just playing, well, essentially an evil character, really. And I think he's a brilliant actor too.
I always think that someone who can do such broad comedy and then straight drama as well has got the range. Like you
Right?
have, because like I feel like it's so easy to praise an actor that always does drama. When
Yep.
drama is like,
Yep.
I feel like the easier thing to do. Whereas if you can do
Mm.
broad comedy and you can do classic drama, that's where it's at.
Yeah, it's a great skill to have. I mean, to make people laugh is quite a difficult task, really. I think it's easy to evoke emotions in people, through a drama, but to actually get them to laugh at your jokes can be a bit of a tall order sometimes.
Um, I saw you said you started watching I May Destroy You.
Yes, yes. So I think it was an article. It was either Bitch Media or one of the other like feminist publications that I follow on on social media that had they'd written an article about the same. So I was quite intrigued to know more about the show, and I also wanted to start watching it as well. So it had been on my list for like some time, and then I finally got an opportunity to watch it. Like I think it was last week. Started watching it, and yeah, like I really like the actress as well. I think her name is the main actress. I think her name is Michaela Coel, I believe. Yeah. And I really like her. Like I think it's a very honest and very raw and very emotional, portrayal of what sexual assault can do to a woman. And the aftermath of it as well. Like it's very, it can be very funny at times, and like very, very, very emotional, and also very, I think, very triggering in a lot of ways as well.
Yeah.
It's very, very emotional.
And I think you can also tell that it was created out of a space of someone who went through it, because of how varied the emotions are. Because I mean, I think anybody who's been through anything similar knows that it's not always like stuck in a dark pit. Sometimes you're high, sometimes you're low, sometimes it's like sometimes you can talk about it, sometimes you can't. But beautiful show. It's so excellently done.
So beautifully executed. And it's just like you say as well, like just it feels so real. It feels like it's actually like you're like listening to or watching somebody who's actually been through it go through it right before your eyes. And I loved just how like raw and honest and just like open she was with all the emotions and everything else. Like you say, it's 1 minute you're okay with everything, and you're like, hey, it's fine, whatever, and then next it's something that can just like any little thing can just set you off and just trigger you, and you're back again with the trauma of what happened to you again. So yeah, no, it's a beautiful show, really, really beautiful show.
How far into it are you now?
I think I should be on episode 8.
Okay, so you're near the end. Is that the end?
Yeah, I think it's very close to the end. I think there's it's 12 episodes maybe.
Oh, okay. So have you seen the episode with her friend, the guy?
With Kwame is his name,
yeah,
I think.
Kwame,
Yeah.
How like, just like I was just so glad that she also went there, that she showed that it's also men who struggle or who are who have to deal with toxic masculinity. Like it's so the nuance, the intersectionality of it. It's just so good. Oh, I don't know how someone's mind can work as well as hers. Like,
honestly, she's such a genius, and like it's just I don't even know how to like put it into words, but just the way she just tackles all these very different issues in such a in a way that doesn't feel contrived. It just feels so real, and just you feel like you can just really relate to what the characters are going through, and just the way she executes it. There's so much sensitivity as well with the way she treats all the different issues at play.
So when it comes to like feminism, for women that are trying to learn more about feminism, about intersectionality, what would you suggest they like indulge in? So like read, watch, listen. Where do you think is a good place for them to start?
Well, I would think that one good place to start, I think that would, I think, really kind of help be a good segue into what feminism is all about, would be something like the Me Too movement, for instance. I think that is something that, a lot of people can resonate with. And it would be, I think, a good segue for you to really understand why people want to become feminists, why the feminist movement even exists in the first place. So I don't think you'd have to go far just reading like the news coverage on that, and just I mean, if academic articles are not really your thing, then I definitely suggest like starting off with those sorts of things. Another good publication that I like, that I think does very, very well to cover a wide range of issues to do with feminism and intersectionality is also Bitch Media. I really enjoy their articles a lot, and they cover a wide variety of topics. So like history and pop culture, environmental issues. And I think that's also another good place for people to start if they really want to understand what it's about, and also just to, I think, just help dispel some of the misconceptions and preconceptions that people have about feminism as well.
I don't have you seen Miss America? It's
no, not yet, but someone recommended that to me. Is that the one with Kate Blanchett in it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's like a story of like the second wave feminists, but it's really good how it talks about Gloria Steinem and Betty Friedan, but also talks about like their own struggles with dealing with like how Black women are treated in the movement, how like lesbians are treated in the movement, all those like different parts, and how it scattered the movement also, because the right wing was so like dead set against him, and they were like this one big group. But the scary part of that is watching that and realizing how little things have changed. It feels like we have more right, but like a lot still hasn't changed for women. And it's like what women were fighting 40 years ago, they're still fighting for today in like westernized societies. And it's scary. Like even like simple things like abortion and that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not saying abortion is simple, but I mean like things that we think is like like basic human rights for women, like, and their body.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, women are still fighting against that. So like South Africa is, I mean, I think this is probably more of like a law question, but seeing as South Africa is quite a conservative society with quite a liberal constitution, like, do you think that like South African women like we struggle because we have all this conservative values put upon us, but we also have the right to do as we want, and we have like this urge to do what we want with our bodies and in society. So how do you think that the fight within women, like, you know, like between the conservativeness of like our country and the liberalness of, you know, where we hope to go, how do you think that conflict like arises? Because I mean, like, I was listening to a podcast today where they were talking about how scared women are to talk about sex. And like, you know, it's 2020. We should be able to talk about this a lot freer than we are.
Like I get what you mean. Like there's like that huge gap between, you know, what our society is supposed to be, and especially because the Constitution is one of the most liberal, one of the most nuanced, one of the most, you know, detailed ones in the entire world. You know, you would think that, you know, perhaps we would be leaps and bounds ahead in SA when it comes to these sorts of issues. But again, it's still so difficult to talk about, I mean, sex, let alone sexual assault or you know, or rape and that sort of stuff. So it's very, very tricky because, again, you know, because our cultural values, which are, you know, largely still very patriarchal in nature, and you're still very much conservative, kind of put those blockades on women wanting to speak out about issues that affect them. And also just getting men as well to want to come to the table and say that, look, you know, we also, you know, want to see all women in society being treated with dignity and with respect, and that there should be, you know, the violence against women is just an anathema that needs to just be completely eradicated. We need to get there. We need to have that desire to get there. It's just, I fear it will take a bit more time because, again, you know, like I see, like SA compared to other African countries, you know, is so liberal. I mean, with LGBT, you know, QIA plus rights as well. But at the same time, so many LGBTQ people are being killed every single day.
Yeah.
So many of them are just being harassed and persecuted. So again, it's just that conflict between like the religious values and the cultural values, which are still so conservative. It is probably going to take some time before that will, I guess, be aligned with South Africa's constitutional vision, so to speak, for what the country should be. Because I mean, obviously, people have the right to, you know, practice their religion freely, to practice their culture freely. The Constitution protects those rights as well, but it is in direct conflict with women's rights to bodily autonomy, to being able to decide for themselves what they want to do with their bodies. Oh, I wish I had the answers, but I guess all we can do is just try as much as we can to educate other women as much as we can, to give them a voice, to the marginalized, and do what we can to just help to also educate our our sons, our uncles, our fathers, etc. For those of us who are a bit more liberal and open-minded, to try as much as possible to, despite maybe what kind of backlash we would face, to just keep on pushing and keep on showing people and teaching people this is how things should be. Yeah. And it doesn't have to take away from your right to practice your religion. Doesn't have to take away from your right to practice your culture freely, but just allow people just to live their lives where they would like to. It'll be better for all of us in the long run.
Yeah. So you were mentioning like some YouTube channels that you've been watching recently. Tell me more about it. Because I'm like trying to get into YouTube, but I don't know, I think I'm like a generation too old for it. So like I'm so bad at like keeping track, and then there's like 20
Yeah.
episodes of the show that I was watching on YouTube, and I'm like, shit, I have to go back and watch this. But anyway, yes, tell me more about
Right.
it. Like I'm trying to find new ones to watch.
Yeah, no, it is pretty difficult, yeah, especially for, for our age group, I guess, to try and keep up with what's going on, because there's always so much new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
And so one thing I found is just, well, the programs the shows the channels rather that I'm watching, like I really like, because just like 3 quick episodes, I can just like watch it. Like maybe if I'm at work and not doing anything like too crazy, I can just sit and like listen to what what it's all about. So the one that I've been obsessed with lately is The Take. And so The Take essentially is a group of, I think they're filmmakers and film students who just give essentially their take on like famous movie tropes and different characters in movies. It's really, really interesting. So one of the classic tropes that they've taken on has been like the cool girl trope, the manic pixie dream girl trope, black characters in how they've been portrayed in Hollywood over the years, female friendships, and they give examples of modern TV shows and also older TV shows and movies, and they got some really, really interesting takes essentially on all these different cinema tropes and how we as a culture have evolved and how that's been portrayed, on how that is reflected on what we see on screen now, how our culture is moving more towards being a lot more, not even tolerant, but more accepting of different voices and wanting more marginalized voices to be seen on screen and to have people from marginalized communities telling those stories themselves. So one of the latest ones that I watched today actually was on trans stories. And it took a look at how it's been treated in cinema over the years, how it's also a reflection of where our cultures is shifting towards, trying to let more people tell their stories and speak their truth. And it's been very, very interesting. I would highly recommend it. I know that you're like a film buff, so I think that you'd love that.
Oh, definitely. I'm writing that down like right now.
Watch one tonight.
So what would you say is like your like all-time favorite series?
Such a tough one. All-time favorite series. Oh my goodness, wow. I'm actually stumped now. I don't even know what to say. Can I give my top 5 maybe?
Yeah, top 5 is perfect.
Okay, cool. Okay, so top 5, I would say How to Get Away with Murder. Definitely. I love Viola Davis. Like she's one of my favorite actresses. Like
she's amazing.
Of all time. Yeah. If I ever got to meet her, I think I'd probably start crying because I just love her so much. So definitely that one. Another one that I really, really love is Sons of Anarchy. Absolutely love that show. I never would have thought that I would enjoy a show about a biker gang, but it's brilliant, brilliantly done. Such a good one. Seinfeld, also. I never get tired of watching Seinfeld ever. It's one of my absolute favorites.
It's the best. Like I don't know, like at any time of any day, I would watch it and I will laugh. Like there's no doubt about that. There's a random group of white people in in New York, right? But I will laugh.
Like just so different to our experience completely, but you just it's so hilarious.
And they're always doing the most chaotic things, and you're like, but why? But anyway,
why?
But
such
funny.
Dysfunctional people. Yeah, so dysfunctional, but that's what it is.
And your other two?
So there's that. My other two. I'm really trying to think because I had them in my mind, but then now they just gone.
Sorry, I interrupted you with my very casual, boring Seinfeld take.
No, not even. I think it really is just so hard to pinpoint. But another one. Number 4. I had number 4 now. Orange is the New Black. Such a good show.
Brilliant.
Such a good one. And then, I mean, I am inclined to say Breaking Bad already, but I just want to finish it first. Then I will decide.
Okay.
So I think number 5. I think I'll just leave open for now.
Yeah,
so
leave
really
open
just
for the future.
Can't think.
And what? Yeah. Okay, I hope this is not as difficult, but what would you say is your all-time favorite movie?
Actually, that I think is more difficult than trying to pick a series.
Okay, do 5 again. Do 5.
Okay, 5 again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now that you ask me, now that I'm on the spot, now I'm like, I can't, like, I've just drawn a blank again. Like, I see them in my mind, but now I'm just like, what?
This is always the question that stumps everybody. And it's like, I always think that this will be the easy ones, the casual question. And always when people are like, what? How could you ask me this?
Okay, well, I'll give it a try.
Okay.
Well, the one movie that I really, really loved, my parents introduced me to about 7 years ago, is Tombstone.
Okay.
It's a Western, and again, I never thought I would ever enjoy a Western, but it's a brilliant movie. It's got Val Kilmer and Kurt Russell in it, and Billy Zane as well. Yeah. But it's brilliantly shot, brilliantly done. It's just it's such a great story, and also it's based on a true story as well. So I think that's why I also really liked it too. About this little town in the West called Tombstone, where there was this famous. I don't know if you know the story about Tombstone at all.
No, I've never heard of it.
No, well, there was a famous gunfight at the so-called OK Corral, which was in Tombstone. So it was basically being overrun by all these criminals and outlaws, and then the sheriff called Wyatt Earp came along and basically just started cleaning up the town. So I would definitely recommend watching that movie. It's a good one.
Okay. It's nice and different. So who would you say was your first celebrity crush?
My first celebrity crush, I can't think of the first one, but I really loved. I remember having the biggest crush on Corbin Bleu from High School Musical.
Yes.
I loved the hair. I just loved his face. Like everything about him. I was always like, I'm just watching this movie just for him. I don't care about anybody else. The music is good or whatever, but I'm watching for him.
In our house, we always bring up that movie he was in after High School Musical, Jump or something, or Jump In.
Yes, Jump In, yeah.
Because my nephew was really small when that movie came out, and then he started crying, and then my sister was like, "Why are you crying?" And he's like, "They're being so rude to him, but because they were bullying him in the movie." But my nephew's now 18, so we make fun of him all the time. We're like, "Oh, are you feeling a bit sad that someone is bullied on TV?"
Yeah.
Because of Corbin Bleu. And he was like, I was 5. Can you calm down? But anyway, yeah. I always, whenever I think of Corbin Bleu, I think of that movie with the jump rope type.
Yeah. That is so cute. Yeah, I'm sure he's very embarrassed about that now.
Yeah, no, now he's this grown, 18-year-old, But we will always humble him with the memory of Corbin Bleu.
Exactly. So. I mean, you have to do that. You have to make sure you bring it back down to earth and remind him where he came from.
But Mulesa, thank you so much for joining us on the pod.
Oh, no problem. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was such a great conversation and great to chat with you again. Hope we get to chat again sometime soon. Hopefully, in a more relaxed setting.
Yeah.
Yes, in real life.
That was our interview with Mulesa. You can find her at Mulesa TCK on Twitter and at Mulesa Lumina on Instagram. Links to everything discussed will be in the show notes. Before we go off today, we just want to play a little bit of a game just to lighten things up, have a little fun. So Rebecca, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to give you 2 options, and then you're going to tell me which one you would pick. It's gun to the head. Please no this and that. No, one. You can only choose one. No. So if you had an option between biscuits or cake, which one would you pick?
Cake.
Same. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Computer games or video games?
What's the difference?
Playing a game on a computer.
Sorry, IGN.
Playing a game on a computer or drinking PlayStation.
Okay, PlayStation. I mean,
I don't know. Do you know? I don't know how to use a console. I don't know how to use.
Me neither.
So I was I need to go for lessons. I asked my brother to buy me The Last of Us after Zayd spoke about it, and then on his episode. And then I was oh my gosh, I need to go for lessons on how to which button is for which before I even start doing.
I think playing the game is actually the lesson. I don't think you actually have to go for something.
No, but I don't know how to walk forward. X. Only thing I know is X. Okay. Pop music or rock music? Zit.
Oof, that is difficult, but probably
Ok.
no rock. Sorry, no.
Oh no, I would definitely pick pop. Pop
Okay.
any day.
Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah, okay, pop music
Yeah.
and Lenny Kravitz. No, I do like rock music. I'm just like, but then pop first and then
Oh,
rock.
okay, yeah.
Okay. Stuffed
That was a difficult
animals
question.
or dolls? So like teddy bears or dolls?
Nice. Teddy bears. Teddy bears.
No, I hate teddy bears.
Yeah, but dolls, like,
I've
what the
gotten
fuck?
as gifts. I love dolls. If I could still buy
Okay.
Barbies, I would buy myself a Barbie.
Like,
But they're
collector's
extremely
item.
expensive. No, just to play around with. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Definitely. Morning or evening?
Evening. Night.
Text message or call?
Oh, depends who you are.
I'm always text message.
I'm
Don't
gonna go
phone
with
me.
call. I'm gonna go with call. It's quick.
Library or museum?
Museum.
French or Spanish?
Talking or listening? Spanish.
Um,
French.
Trevor Noah
Uh-huh.
or Conan O'Brien?
Sorry, Trev. It's always Conan for me, man.
Always Conan. Book or movie?
He's so for sin, I love it. Movie.
Singing or dancing?
What's the first one?
Singing.
Singing. Singing.
Singing all the way. We met during choir, so I mean.
This is fun. Oh, yeah, oh my gosh.
Frozen yogurt or ice cream?
Ice cream.
McDonald's or Burger King?
Yo. Neither. Burger McDonald's.
Snow White or Cinderella?
Let's go with Cinderella's.
Now I'm
Just because I can relate.
and let's just pick one more.
Oh, go on. I like this. This goes on
No.
further.
I think I was gonna get bored. Money or fame?
Must be the money.
Definitely money, because I mean,
Any day. Fame, come on.
Why would you want
So
fame
How
when
long
you're
does that
poor?
last? Especially, exactly. And in these days, it doesn't last for about 10 minutes.
and okay, Scooby Doo or Tom and Jerry? Tom and
Tom and
Jerry.
Jerry.
Tom and Jerry's so boring.
Yeah, but I like the score, the orchestral.
Oh,
music.
okay.
Yeah.
Superman or Batman?
Superman.
Okay, well,
He's
okay,
got
okay.
actual powers.
Yeah, okay, that's right. But like,
And
okay,
Batman
yeah.
has just got a lot of money, and he decided to just fight like an idiot. Didn't
Capitalism.
say this in one of his in his
I don't know.
interview.
Gold or silver?
Gold. Not
Frozen
to
yogurt.
wear, but to invest in.
Sneakers or heels? It's like the question that always asks ladies. Sneakers or heels?
Yeah. Tackies.
That's sneakers. There was another one I wanted to ask you. Bach or Chopin? How do you say that name?
Chopin.
Chopin.
Oh, this is probably, I'm stumped. I'm out. Can't decide. Nope. I refuse. I won't. I won't answer this question.
It's like choosing between your two
Like
favorites.
these are like my homeboys. There's no way.
Lenny Kravitz or Jason Momoa?
No, 100% Lenny.
100%.
If he can, the way he plays that guitar, man. If he can play the guitar like that, then
Listen, also, like, objectively, I can see that Jason Momoa is hot. But, like,
objectively, yeah.
he's a bit, like, goofy for me.
Yeah, it's like,
You know what I mean?
yeah. Like you would have moments where you would need him to just like be normal
down.
and chilled and
Yeah,
do the
like-
bill, like pay the bills, but he won't because he
but,
won't
like-
joke about it.
Yeah, and plus he looks like he always talks in capitals and like like Lenny Kravitz obviously speaks in cursive, like we know this.
Yeah. So when it came to the languages, it would be French, Spanish, or Lenny Kravitz.
Okay.
Clearly,
Okay.
okay, wait. Lockdown's been so long.
Okay. Before we end this thing, what have you been crashing on this week, Rebecca?
This week I haven't done much Netflixing, But what I wanted to watch was the David Attenborough. What do you call it?
Documentary?
Yeah, I think it's called A Life on Our Planet. Yeah, he's 94 years old. He's probably, I don't want to put it out into the universe, but he's probably going to leave us quite soon. And that's going to be a day of mourning for me. I'm going to do nothing else that day. Because he was one of the people who advocates and has been advocating for environmentalism for years now, before it became fashionable. But yeah, so I haven't actually seen it, but that's on my list of to watch. Oh, in terms of books, I started with Women Who Run with the Wolves.
Love that
by
book.
Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And I've had this book for 4 years. And I just started it. And I keep starting it and then stopping, because it's quite difficult to get into. But you've read this, haven't you?
Yeah, it's quite a hard read. It took me a long time to finish. But the thing is that I don't want to say once you get into it, because that's a weird way of looking at it, but it's the type of book that it has so many important moments that will also make you stop and pause and rethink. So
Yeah.
I mean, it made me understand myself better. It especially made me understand other women around me, especially
wow.
women who don't necessarily fall into stereotypical gender roles, women
Yeah.
who oftentimes it makes you it made me understand someone close to me who is constantly struggling to fit inside of a mold that other people have put. And it is just extremely interesting, and it's such a good book. So it's a hard read, but stick with it, because I'm telling you it will be beneficial in the long run. Defoes. And I'm not the type of person who says read things that are difficult, whatever, but no, just read it.
Okay. So check back 4 years from now and we can have a conversation.
Yeah. For me,
you?
For me, I just finished reading Mermaid Fillet by Mia Arden. It's basically a book set within the coloured community in the northern suburbs, and it has a few different characters that are at different points in their lives, in different things, but there's still a common thread that runs through it, and a common mystery. We spoke about it a bit in the Caryn episode, because Caryn was also reading it at that time. So I would 100% recommend it. It's extremely interesting, so well written. And then other than that, I've been listening to the podcast Heroin Cheek. I've been a fan of them for ages, and in the interview when I was talking to Mulesa, I mentioned, I was listening to a podcast, but I didn't reference which podcast I was listening to. But if anybody wants to know, it's Heroin Cheek, and it's really good. They're doing a season on relationships at the moment, and they speak about different types of dating. They speak about queer relationship. They speak to men, heterosexual men, talk about toxic masculinity with them, and it's so interesting. And I also really love the energy of the hosts. I think I see the studio pick. I'm why do I love this podcast so much? And I'm I almost feel I want to be friends with them. I love the energy so much.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I've been crushing on this week. So yeah, that's all from us. Me you can find at Caryn Welby on Instagram, at Caryn Welbys with an S on Twitter, and sign up for my newsletter Wildest Dreams at wildestdreams.substack.com. The podcast can be found at Crushing On Pod on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You can find more information about this and all our other episodes at our website, crushingonpodcast.com, and send any feedback to crushingonpod@gmail.com. Join our Facebook group, Crushing On Club, where we chat about the show, celebrity news, recommendations, the whole shebang. Let us know what you think about what was discussed in this week's episode by sending us a voice note or email to crushingonpod@gmail.com. The show is produced by me, Caryn, and Rebecca Barches. The show is edited and engineered by Rebecca Barches. Our logo was designed by Latifa Maroof. And the show was created in partnership with IGN Africa. If you like the show, tell everyone that you can, any way that you can. Keep up to date with all our episodes by subscribing to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And please rate and review the episodes on Apple Podcasts, as it helps others find the show. We'll be back next week with another in-depth conversation with a pop culture lover. See you then!